Hey, good evening everyone. My name is Steve, and we wanted to welcome you to a very special edition of Plate Exchange. We finally have had an opportunity to be able to acquire some of the plates that you guys have been asking about, including a couple that you really gotta look hard to find, but wanted to make sure that we've had them all. We've had a couple for a few weeks now, but wanted to make sure that we had them all so we could do this in one giant special. So, over the course of this episode, we're actually going to be doing 8 different championship belts today, putting new plates or getting some updated plates on a few of our belts. We'll go over it as we go along. So first of all, before we get started, I do want to give, as she would say, credit where credit is due. My wife, Kia, working the camera. You've seen her on Questions with the Queen every Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern. But she is actually going to be playing the role of camera person today. We'll have her chime in whenever she feels like she has something to contribute, as she typically does, because, hey, she's the queen, what she says goes.
Hi, everybody.
But, we're going to, try to have some fun with this. This will be one that, is going to be a little longer, only because we do have so many, so I found a way to kind of help cut it down a little bit, but, a lot of information to share and a lot of fun belt side plays to show you guys, so let's have some fun with this. Before we get started, though, I do want to acknowledge 2 recent title changes that have taken place. The United States Championship, which was won by Apollo Crews a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, and also has had an opportunity to defeat Andrade again in a tag team match this past week on Raw. So we have a new champion in Apollo Crews. We're acknowledging this one even though there are no plates to exchange. There is a name plate, but obviously they don't make those that you can purchase anymore. I am hearing rumors, again, nothing more than that a new U.S. title belt could be on its way soon that would have plates similar to the way the new Intercontinental title looks. So we'll see if that ends up coming into play. And also last night on Monday Night Raw, we did have another title change. It was the 24/7 title. R-Truth winning it for the, boy, it's hard to believe this number, the 37th time. 37-time champion, which actually now puts him 2 ahead as the most decorated WWE champion of all time. His 35th actually made him pass Edge, if you include his U.S. titles and his tag team titles as well. He defeated Rob Gronkowski outside of Gronkowski's house in Foxborough to win back his baby, the 24/7, 48-14, I-95 South, 7-Eleven. 24/7 championship.
I'm just very glad to see that the titles are being held by Truth and Apollo Crews. It's a good thing, honestly. I liked the 24/7. They always keep it entertaining and it's amusing. And of course, if it's Truth, he's serious about his baby. So yeah.
Well, in the end, there was a period of time where the 24/7 title actually was probably the most entertaining one because it literally can happen at any time. You'd be, sitting at work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, and all of a sudden you get a blip on your phone that says, hey, the 24/7 title changed hands. I mean, I think it changed on an airplane once.
It did.
And actually it was R-Truth that did that too, and then he hid in a bathroom the rest of the way.
I think, wasn't he winning it from, Jinder Mahal?
Yeah, he was asleep. So this one provides entertainment, and now that it's back in the hands of R-Truth again, we should be able to get some more fun out of it. Of course, all of this being done because Rob Gronkowski getting his release today by WWE so he can focus on getting ready for the NFL season. So, two titles. We try to do our best, even though they don't have plates, to acknowledge them whenever possible, so always keep an eye out for those. But let's start hitting the ones that you guys care about, and that's the ones with some plates. We're going to start off with one that we were only able to do halfway last time, and that is the Women's Tag Team Championship. Now, the current champions are Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, who won it at WrestleMania, defeating the Kabuki Warriors. In a previous episode, you saw me put the Alexa Bliss plates on here, but we finally have been able to come across basically what is the best version of the Nikki Cross plates that they have available at the moment. So we now can be able to finalize the belt from what we previously had, and that is making sure that Alexa gets her half and then Nikki Cross gets hers.
I feel like it's deserving to have both of them on there, with Nikki at this point being so vocal, and she's not just what we consider someone to be pushed around at this point. And if y'all looked at SmackDown, y'all would have seen that.
Exactly. So, and very similar to what they've done with Asuka, they've let her grab a microphone and made it clear, because one thing that a lot of people did have an issue with, and they're actually making it into storyline, is that Alexa seemed to be the one getting all the attention, all the credit for their successful tag team run. Of course, the only two-time tag team champions, potentially going into a couple of title matches coming up here soon. And, Nikki Cross made it very clear in her conversation with the Iconics a couple of weeks ago that every step that, Lexi has taken, I've taken that same step. And yet I get no credit while Alexa gets all the credit. So it is nice to see them pushing Nikki Cross now as an equal member of the team and not just giving Alexa Bliss all the credit.
I liked how she did not throw her tag team partner under the bus and saying that, but at the same time she said, every step has been said, every step that she has taken, I've taken the same ones. I've been there, and we have fought side by side as a tag team for our titles. So it was good to actually hear her get on the mic and actually be very vocal about it.
Exactly. And everybody, of course, when the team first created, you just assumed at some point, Alexa's going to turn on Nikki. Just when's it going to happen? And if not only have they been able to create a successful team with the two, but honestly, they've been one of the more entertaining teams that we've seen, probably short of the storyline with Boss and Hug over on SmackDown. So that now completes the women's tag team title belt, giving Nikki Cross her respected due on her side while also keeping the Alexa Bliss plates on that side.
Very nice.
So that is one of 6 that we will be working with. The next one's one that has kind of gone under the radar just due to all of the COVID-19 stuff that's been going on, and that is the NXT UK Women's Championship, currently held by Kaylee Ray. This championship originally was held by Rhea Ripley, eventually held by Toni Storm, and then Kaylee Ray has become the most recent and current champion. She is, of course, it's been kind of, held in abeyance just because of the COVID-19 and being unable to compete in the UK. Of course, also the travel ban preventing her from being able to come to the United States to be able to defend it here. So she's kind of been in flux, but at the same time, she's benefited as, being the reigning champion at the time. So, of course, she currently goes down as the longest reigning champion on the UK brand in terms of the Women's Championship, and her plates being able to be set up to finally get, plates here for our UK title. For those who, I cannot honestly say that we, watch the UK brand very much. We had an opportunity to see a number of the UK competitors when we traveled to, where did we go for Worlds Collide? Was that Philly or was that was Houston, wasn't it? No.
Yes, it was. Because we were meeting.
Yeah, it was Houston.
We were meeting family.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all the cities are running together now. This is what being at home all the time does for you. All the trips run together.
You get so used to start traveling, and so when it automatically stopped, it's like, well, did I go here? Did I go here?
Right. But getting an opportunity to see a number of the UK brand stars, including Kaylee Ray, she ended up having a match on the pre-show that night with Mia Yim that ended up being fantastic. We finally got an opportunity to see what Kaylee Ray could bring to the table. She ended up winning that match as well. So, it is good to see what she brings to the table, and I really do hope that at some point the championship will, be able to come back into play. A champion like Walter, who's holding the UK title over on the NXT UK brand, kind of stuck in the same story. They were running into a very good storyline with him and Finn Balor before everything kind of went down, and now he's, stuck in flux. And then the tag team champions as well, Gallus, also stuck in the same issues as well.
Well, you understand from my perspective as a woman, female empowerment. So even if, her title has, even though she's held the title for so long, I honestly think it's honestly a good thing to see women do the same thing that men can do and be able to actually, in my opinion, I feel like do it a little better, so.
Well, it's certainly, obviously, we've never seen a year like we've dealt with so far, but, Kaylee has taken the most of it and obviously has done her best to, make the most of her circumstances, but we have the Kaylee Ray plates finally on here. This is actually the first time that the plates have been switched out on this particular belt since we've owned it. We do own the Rhea Ripley plate, so if Rhea was to ever win it again, we have plates ready for her. And speaking of Rhea Ripley, that's actually where we're going to head next. as we're going to now get the updated plates for the NXT Women's Championship. Of course, it is not held by Rhea Ripley. It is held by the Queen, Charlotte Flair, in her second reign as champion. And we were finally able to acquire her plates. If you want to get a zoom in on those.
I like the plates for Charlotte only because, you know, obviously with her being a queen and the queen piece of the chessboard, I think that's very interesting that she would actually think of something like that.
And if you look off to the side, and we can get another view of this real quick, you can see you've got the queen representing the A in the middle, and then you have the pawns that are off to the side of each side, where clearly, you know, she is the most powerful piece, as it is normally in a normal game of chess as well. But, you know, she does have quite the challenge in front of her. Not only, of course, has she been pulling triple duty over the last several weeks, but at the same time, also having to get ready for her NXT Women's title defense coming up this Sunday at In Your House when she defends in a triple threat against both Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai. Of course, she beat Rhea Ripley at Wrestlemania to win the championship in the first place, successfully cashing in her Royal Rumble victory to get the match with Rhea Ripley. But now she faces both contenders that she faced. The first one that she faced to win the title, and then the second one that she defended, albeit by disqualification.
Let me ask you a question. You know, did that break your heart when Rhea lost the title? The way she lost it, did it break your heart?
Break my heart? No, not really. You know, I look at it from the perspective that, you know, Rhea still has a great future in front of her. So the fact that at such a young age, she was able to be given a WrestleMania match against who most people would argue to be the greatest female competitor, if not just the greatest competitor, period, in the history of the business. You know, everybody wondered when Charlotte first got here, you know, was she going to be able to live up to, you know, her father's legacy, her father's name? And not only has she done that, I think by most circumstances, I think she has in some ways surpassed it. And she still has many years. But the fact is, Rhea, at such a young age, she was only 22 at the time, you know, getting a match at WrestleMania, and of course the historical significance of it being the first NXT title to be defended at Mania also played a role as well. I think Rhea's got many more titles still sitting in front of her. But there you have it with the new Charlotte Flair plates now on the belt as well.
Aren't they making the competitors to win titles, you know, younger and younger?
Well, in some circumstances, you know, AEW kind of went the other direction. They went with you know, old as dust, Chris Jericho to start, you know, and he made it entertaining. Don't get me wrong, you know, and now they've got it on Jon Moxley, who, you know, is, you know, not an old person, but not exactly that young either. You know, he's getting there.
Yeah, don't trip over your words, Steve. He might be watching.
Well, I hope so, because we'll get plenty of views and plenty of comments if we do, so I'll be happy with that. We now move on to another NXT championship. In fact, all the titles we have the rest of the way are going to be from the NXT brand. We move on to the NXT Tag Team Championships. Unfortunately, we were on the midst of being able to get the Broserweight plates, but unfortunately, they decided to drop that storyline completely and have put them on the NXT team Imperium. So, with all due respect, they're plates to me seeming just a little bland in my opinion, just simply the Imperium logo just crossed out sideways across the belt, across the plates.
Well, guess what? It matches their personality.
Yeah, well, either way, you know, of course, you know, again, I go back to, you know, the UK brand. Essentially, the closest thing you can picture to Imperium, for those who don't watch the UK brand, is they basically are the UK's version of the Undisputed Era. You know, they do it with, you know, a little more level of class, a little less running your mouth, a little more, you know, we're just going to punch you in the throat and just be done with it kind of deal. But at the end of the day, you know, they have been as successful as the Undisputed Era has been on the NXT brand here in the U.S., with Walter holding the UK title and then Imperium for a while being main competitors for the tag team titles before coming over to the U.S. and beating the team of Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher, who was filling in for Pete Dunne when Thatcher decided to turn on Riddle. It ultimately resulted in Imperium being able to, you know, net the benefits of it, which was the tag team championships.
I can tell you from firsthand experience, when I asked you, did it break your heart for Rhea to lose hers? I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to lie. It broke my heart, first of all, to see Pete Dunne not be able to come back with everything that's going on. And then, actually having Matt Riddle get him a partner of Pete Dunne's choosing, and then having that partner turn on him was also kind of devastating, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Oh, sure. And that to me was something that if they had, allowed Riddle to stay in NXT, long enough to see this, this COVID thing run its course and everything, return back to normalcy, what would have been Riddle's reaction for Dunne saying, look who you partnered me with, and then he turned on me. But Riddle's move to SmackDown, of course, kind of answers the question as to, why they decided to do such a sudden title change for what had been one of the more popular people on NXT, maybe not so much Thatcher, but definitely Matt Riddle.
Let me ask you a question. When he moved to SmackDown, do you think that was the perfect fit for him, or do you think he should have stayed on NXT, or do you think they should have put him on Raw, and why?
Right now, I think that a show like SmackDown needs all the entertainment value it can get. They obviously have good competitors. They have a handful of good storylines, because eventually you're going to have we figure Braun and The Fiend, going at each other again once The Fiend returns from paternity leave. Congratulations to him and JoJo on their second child, by the way, for those who didn't know.
Congrats!
Anyone who knows me knows I love me some JoJo. But, I'm glad to hear it. It seems like just, recently they had their boy and now find out they had another girl. But that storyline's going to continue. Of course, you've got the Bayley-Sasha storyline, which, God, seems like it may go on forever. And speaking of our tag team titles from earlier, they're getting a title shot on Friday, so there's a very well possibility that we might be right back here again on Friday, changing out those Alexa and Nikki cross plates again for Sasha and Bayley. We have both of those ready to go as well. Although the Bayley one would be interesting because we only have one set of plates and they're already sitting on the SmackDown title, so how we figure that out, I don't have a clue.
Couldn't we technically use her old plates?
I don't think she'd appreciate that. Either way, NXT tag team titles in place. Imperium, the current champions, with their plates now being on here. This is actually only the second time we've ever replaced these plates. We did for a little while have the Undisputed Era plates on there when they were champions. Okay, so we now move to our final two, and both of these have direct matches coming up this upcoming Sunday on In Your House. The first is the North American Championship, which is by far the largest belt we have, other than the old big gold belt from back in the WCW days. Currently held by the limitless Keith Lee.
Keith Lee!
Those of you who've looked on WWE Shop know these plates are readily available, $99, sometimes you can catch them when they're a little bit cheaper. But Keith Lee successfully winning the championship off of Roderick Strong a couple of months ago. He gets set to defend this upcoming Sunday against Johnny Gargano.
And if you're anything like my husband, and to the guys who love to collect things, he's literally on that site every day. Look at his browser history every single day.
If you start posting my browser history, then I'll have to be concerned.
Oh, that's not my place to do that. I'm just saying, look at it.
I'm going to be one of those folks that's going to be like, as somebody, you see it in the movies or on the shows all the time, that as you're getting hauled off to, and you're going to be killed, you're like, don't save me. It's, whoever, delete my browser history. But honestly, is there a guy out there who can't say that? Come on, let's be honest, right?
Who are you getting to delete it?
You, I hope. Like, she ain't doing it. Hey, I ain't getting myself in trouble on here, but either way. Keith Lee, right now running into the story with Johnny Gargano, kind of being the force behind, what he considers now all heart, no soul, tired of, facing, trying to do everything for the fan base that doesn't care about him. So him and Candice LeRae deciding, as they said at their dinners, we're going to eat first at this point, and at this point, Johnny Gargano trying to go back and win gold that he has previously won before. Of course, Gargano has been North American champion before. Have his plates ready to go should he get the job done this upcoming Sunday.
I think it was humorous how Keith Lee and Mia Yim kind of took what was supposed to be Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae's whole dinner theme and used it at their house. Only thing was, they didn't have that much food. Yeah,
well, that was Tegan's fault, wasn't it?
Yep.
Tegan took all the pizza. So,
Nice.
Keith Lee plates on here. This is the third time that we have actually switched out these plates. We previously at one point had Adam Cole's, and we also at one point had the Velveteen Dream when he was the champion. And the irony, of course, being that I mentioned those two because we moved to the last belt in question for us this evening, and it is the NXT Championship, which for a while now we have had the Undisputed Era plates on. But we have been able to now acquire the Adam Cole plate specifically just for himself. So now we can be able to successfully switch those out for the Adam Cole plates for himself. Adam Cole has been the longest reigning NXT champion of all time, and that's quite an accomplishment considering some of the names that have been NXT champion up to this point. You look at some of the names that have held the title. You're talking about, Shinsuke Nakamura. You're talking about Finn Balor. You're talking about Samoa Joe. Drew McIntyre, our current WWE champion. Just the list goes on and on of all these successful names. And Adam Cole has held it longer than all of them, becoming the first person not only to hold it as long as he has, but also the first person to cross over a year last week as champion. But he will once again be up for the fight of his life as he takes on Velveteen Dream this upcoming Sunday at In Your House, a match in which Dream will try to win the title for the first time. Dream also being put in the position to where if he does not win this time over Adam Cole, he will not be able to get another shot at the title as long as Adam Cole is champion.
Do you think there's going to be some shenanigans going on with this?
Well, Regal said in the phone call that he had with Adam Cole setting up the match, he told him, that he's going to find a location worthy of the spotlight that both of them demand, or something along that lines. So it leads me to believe that this is not going to be a standard wrestling match. More than likely, it means there will be no disqualifications. And with that being the case, of course, that means some shenanigans.
I feel like the shenanigans would be, it could go one of two ways. It can go Dexter Lumis is a distraction, or it can go the rest of the Undisputed Era would be the distraction, like, they usually are. So Well,
I'm curious to find out how long we're going to have to wait before Dexter Lumis eventually has his plates on this thing, because he just seems like he's just lined up and destined to be holding gold here very soon.
Mm-hmm.
But we go ahead and finish things up with the Adam Cole plates now successfully on the NXT Championship.
Nice.
So with that, we now have just about every belt available. For those of you who enjoyed Plate Exchange, we very much appreciate you guys joining us. Definitely some opportunities for some more plate exchanges here over the next few weeks. As we said, Boston Hug Connection getting their shot at the women's tag titles against Alexa and Nikki Cross this Friday on SmackDown. NXT In Your House has 3 with potentially a 4th championship match. The Iconics also still eyeballing the women's tag titles as well. Just the question is, will Alexa and Nikki be the ones still sitting there, or will it be Bayley and Sasha? And then, of course, you also look at the fact that we will be crowning a new Cruiserweight champion this Wednesday on NXT as Drake Maverick takes on Hijo de Fantasma to crown the interim Cruiserweight champion, who will hold the title until Jordan Devlin is able to come back from the UK. So, a lot of possibilities for a lot of title changes. And then, of course, also the Intercontinental title is going to have a new holder in 2 weeks. Either AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan. We have both of their plates, so we're ready to go, and we'll definitely be having a plate exchange that night immediately following our normal On the Ring apron.
Who would you pick for that one between AJ and Daniel? Who would you pick?
Well, considering it's not on a pay-per-view, at least not yet, because of the fact that he got to skip around, I've got to go with AJ Styles. First of all, it would give AJ the Triple Crown because he actually has held the WWE and has held the United States, so that would leave him just a tag title away. You also can't discount Daniel Bryan. He wanted to compete his way in, so the heart is definitely, more on his side. And also Daniel trying to fight back to win the title he technically never lost when he was forced to retire a couple of years ago.
The reason I asked that, and I wanted to see what your answer was going to be, because I'm looking at what you have on as far as your t-shirt. So if you said Daniel, that would have been kind of conflicting, wouldn't it?
Maybe, but, I can tell you if I'm going into it, I'll be picking AJ Styles, but we still got a week and a half. You never know what might happen this upcoming on SmackDown. But hey, for those of you who joined us tonight, thank you very much for all of your time. We appreciate it. I try to bring you this as updated as possible. I know you guys have been asking for more of these things. And also, we've gotten some questions about Kia's glow belt from her from her cosplay debut. last week. For those of you who would like to see more of that glow belt or be able to find out some more information, I'll be happy to do an episode on here where we've changed out some plates, and I can also show that off to you as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and next time we have ever some plates switch out, I'll be right here to bring them to you. And hey, that's undisputed. Okay, you guys have a good night.
Boom!